That Douglas politics as real. Watch it now, boy.
Yeah, but
It going good. It going good.
struggling to get it technically good.
You gotta hire somebody. You gotta get. You gotta get somebody to
No,
help
no,
you.
no, no. It's not a case of his. He just come like about 2 minutes before we start with all the content. So then we had to try and line up all
Line
the
up everything.
videos and things like it, them letters and thing, and then you had to read for. We had to throw it up as we talking, and sometimes you just cover your face or
Yeah, yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
you
I
know.
understand what you're
So
saying.
it look unprofessional. Then you look like Leon. You know Leon?
Yeah.
Professional. Everything just come up and cover the side
Mhm.
and thing. We
So
want
why
to
you
be
don't just
like
send it
that.
in advance?
So if I could just get at least an hour before the show
But it
starts.
is good. I honestly the content is be excellent.
Yeah,
You see that little clip I sent it with Rowley? That's a good clip to use it on.
yeah. You know who used that clip recently? Sobal. Sobal used that clip
No, he
recently.
said that Saturday.
Eh?
That's what he said Saturday.
Oh,
I clipped that from Saturday.
oh, I thought you was talking about the
No,
Bajan clip.
when he say when he say that when you're being lied to, when you're accustomed being lied to, it's difficult for you to understand the truth. So that's something we could point out all he lies now. Email gate and Petrotrin and
Yeah, he's starting to get some mileage now on his social media.
no, it's going real good.
The
It's going real
last
good.
2 3 months, he's starting to get a little more mileage. So what we have to do now is be equally productive in putting out the message.
I think the population getting fed up at him.
I'm starting to see people coming out on social media saying a few things. Starting to pick up.
I remember my points. But I'm going to tell all you tonight. Okay. My shirt not looking like it outside the pants, right?
I only seen until
Here.
the third button. Just below that one.
Here.
Yeah, just right there.
Okay.
That was.
Mike said, just do my favor. Just give me a bottle of water, please. I do really sweat tonight. I don't know why I would.
Inside here, you will tell good. And all the lights is here.
Oh, some people are sweaters, some are not.
And you
Some
and
like him. Other be, it can be very hot, and other be working man.
I don't really sweat that much.
I feel like well with me,
I
I
feel
sweat really.
After a whole walkabout, I never used to sweat on it.
I do something but just sit down and it's just all here.
Yeah. And I used to walk with a real pace.
If you just came over there,
Finding light to one side.
Well, I get it, boy.
Light more.
we see we have that was here.
I souvenir, you know.
90 degrees.
Just over.
A bright boy.
Nice. Or even now. Or then
Oh.
one side of your face right.
So we good there? We good there?
Sure, Jackie.
Wait, you about to start now?
No. Let me just get Jaggerty inside.
You don't want to put the AC?
It's on.
No, you can. It is up to you if you all want the AC.
No, it's on.
Okay, okay. Or because the door was open, it was
Yeah, it was begin. Just a big chunk.
Let me see if I go in. I tell actually I may not be able to go to 18 minutes, you know. I will see how far I will go.
That's the only thing that happened.
What that? You need to
That
get
is from the
You need to say front way. You need
door. Door. Right there.
what? Opening?
Yeah, when it opened, it started. No, I think somebody pressed it.
Once the door open, it has a sensor.
This one here have that and this one.
Yeah, Jaggerty. Yeah.
Jaggerty.
I am thinking to call the volume here.
Hello, testing. Testing? Test?
Alright. Oh, you're recording it direct. Okay. Alright. There's a
Sound check 1, 2, 3. Sound check testing 1, 2, 3.
One more volume.
More volume. Speak louder.
Last sound check again.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Volume. Oh! Oh! I think I ain't add volume to the door. Shit.
Tell me when you want next test.
Add the sound in that camera.
And the light is bright or?
Should be okay.
I still want it. Yeah.
Oh, custom, yeah.
Last sound check again there.
Sound check 1, 2, 3. Sound check testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Anything?
Yes. Add a
Testing 1, 2, 3. Sound check. Sound check. The mic on?
Again.
Sound check. 1, 2, 3.
Right. All right.
We good?
Where's that microphone?
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Sound check.
Just one type on this mic out.
Yeah.
So I think you're hearing
So,
something now.
sound check. Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Good? Archie?
All right. So you're ready to record.
Yeah.
We look we good.
Once you go there, I see the camera.
Okay. You getting the you could see the volume there.
Listen, are you ready?
You know about
That's all right.
The next thing is when you knock.
I wonder whoever.
She will come just as a
All right.
But you want to leave it open?
No,
Okay
that
then.
noise.
All right. All right.
But that's the
Right.
signal.
We're going to begin in about a minute time. All right then. Right. Maria, you on this side or the other side? All right. No, I ain't no big deal.
I feel the printer will make noise in it. That's the way it's done printer.
Well, it is live, you know. That's it. Whatever that's coming live.
No, we didn't want the printer one. But she was yeah, that's so. So it's really better. Now we're gonna turn off it.
You tell me when you're ready, Archie.
Might get in.
That will keep coming in corner there.
Wait, so
No, this corner.
if you latch to it,
Yeah, yeah. All right. I'll lock
Get
that.
police.
you want to? Necessary,
All right. Everybody on record. So anytime you're ready.
I get ready? Okay. Maria, you ready? I could start? Archie got to play.
Hello, hello.
she's the man.
Yeah.
Got to pay phone in silent. Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so. I was just prepared, you know, it's printer. I'll bring back the one thing.
Yeah. You ready to start here? Yeah. Lucky thing you called it.
Michael, you have sanitizer for this after, right? For the when boys come.
All right. then.
Like Lysol. No, Lysol.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we starting then. Right.
For both, yeah. Archie, you tell me when
Anytime you're ready to start.
Maria gonna start, right? Good evening and welcome again to the UNC virtual report on this Monday. I just want to thank everyone for joining us on the virtual platform. Hope that you are keeping safe at home, and I'd just like to say a special good evening to my constituents of Barataria, San Juan. And every Monday night, we as the United National Congress, the official opposition of Trinidad and Tobago, will continue to prosecute the issues and bring to the population the truth with respect to the governance of Trinidad and Tobago. And we will continue in our duty to expose and hold the government accountable for their decisions and their policies that they have made. For the past few weeks, we have seen a fumbling, bumbling government where they have in fact created policies vai, where they have had old persons line up in rain just to get a life-saving vaccine. They have shown that they have no compassion for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. As earlier on, my brother MP Arnold would have told you about what they would have done with respect to WASA right in my constituency of Barataria San Juan, where they have targeted the people of my constituency and threatened to lock off their water and also to sell their properties if they are not able to pay their WASA rates. This in the time of a pandemic, when every single day they're telling us about 3 W's, including washing your hands, and then they're coming with their heartless policy to lock off persons' water. Water is life. Water is key for sanitization. We have fought WASA, we have fought the government, and they have backtracked, retracted, and they have now stopped that policy with respect to locking off persons' water. And we, as the opposition, will continue to fight for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because you matter in this fight. We will ensure that we call for good governance and integrity in public life. So we have seen the political victimization. We have seen that this government is an uncaring government. And we will continue to ensure that we hold them accountable for their actions. We have seen how they have used this pandemic to oppress the voices of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They have placed heavy, oppressive restrictions on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Just this weekend gone, on Father's Day, on Labor Day, they have locked down all of the persons, yet on Friday, it was reported that it was as though it was Christmas Eve. They have encouraged gatherings. We have seen that they have encouraged state-sponsored super spreaders. This government has no idea what it is doing. They are only concerned about their friends, their families, and their financiers. Once those persons are in fact satisfied, that is all. They don't care about the ordinary citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. They have cut down our speaking time in the parliament. That is why we will come every Monday. That is why we'll come every day of the week to tell the people what is really happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Because this government is as though it is a dictatorship. And we will outline some of the measures and some of the policies that they are willing to adopt in order to really convert Trinidad and Tobago into a dictatorship. We must stand up against this attack on our democracy. And we have seen how they have pressured and oppressed the people of Trinidad and Tobago. In one instance, imagine we are in the middle of a pandemic. Persons have lost their jobs. Businesses have closed. Some have closed since last year, March. When they are ready to reopen the economy, some of these businesses will not be able to even open their doors. And there are no incentives, no measures taken to provide ease to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, they have encouraged and they have always ensured that the people, the ordinary man, the middle class of this country will bear the burden while they continue to live comfortably. Imagine Minister Imbert at a time like this will announce something called a fuel liberalization policy. Now that is big words. What that really means is that they are going to now remove fixed prices for gas, super and premium, diesel from the pump, and you have to pay international prices. So that means that the price can fluctuate based on international prices. That is what they are doing. Imagine we had an entire refinery right in Pointe-a-Pierre, the Petrotrin refinery, that they have shut down, that they have closed down, that was manufacturing and producing oil and gas in this country, but you shut down the refinery and now you have to go and buy fuel. That is the policy of this government. They have no idea what they are doing. It is Vai policy that they're engaging in. Imagine today you have workers in Petrotrin who are still unemployed. You have promised them that you would give them land. What is happening with that? These persons are still waiting in perpetuity for this government to show some level of compassion. But there's a very important matter that I would like to raise with you this evening. And that matter revolves around AV drilling and the arbitration between them and Petrotrin. And tonight I want to bring some matters to the population's attention with respect to AV drilling. And AV drilling is one of those companies that was hired or contracted by Petrotrin. And you would have heard that the opposition leader at one point in time would have exposed some of the matters with respect to what was happening at that time in Petrotrin with respect to a production contract. And there were allegations made of tampering with respect to the valves, and that there was oil that was being paid for that they didn't in fact receive. And those allegations have been subjected to the scrutiny of the court. Now, I just want to take you back in terms of the timeline of this matter. Now, AV Drilling, in fact, Petrotrin did in fact send termination notices to AV Drilling in sometime in January 2018. It was the 18th of January. And before the termination could have taken effect, AV Drilling would have gone to court to seek an injunction to stop Petrotrin from taking this decision to terminate their contract. Now, when AV Drilling went to the High Court, the court rejected their application for an injunction. So they lost at the High Court. They then appealed the matter to the Court of Appeal. Again, the Court of Appeal, Justice Prakash Musai, Justice of Appeal, again denied their application for an injunction. And then when they tried to appeal to the Privy Council didn't even in fact hear the appeal. So at every stage of the proceedings, A&V Drilling has lost. High Court, Court of Appeal, and in fact in the Privy Council. But there was an arbitration recently where it has made several waves in the news, in the media, where A&V Oil and Gas Limited there was an arbitration between them and the Petrotrin, the legacy company of Petrotrin. Now, we have to remember that this is in fact a company owned by a best friend of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister himself declared that this is his best friend. And who they are challenging? A PNM appointed board, a board appointed by the Prime Minister and his cabinet. So this is what is happening here. You have the two factions now before an arbitration. And AV Drilling was successful in that arbitration. But it raises several questions. Because in the media, we have seen some of the matters that are being raised by the lawyers with respect for Petrotrin. And senior counsel Deborah Peake, who represented the interests of Petrotrin, which is the taxpayers, in fact said and found that in her legal opinion that was published in The Guardian, parts of it was published, that there's a good case to set aside that arbitration, that claim that they want to claim for millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And Petrotrin now has to take a decision whether or not they want to set aside that particular judgment. So I have in my hand an article, Petrotrin yet to decide on High Court action versus A&V, June 19, 2021. And the chairman of Petrotrin, Michael Kwamina, who is an attorney at law for the Prime Minister, was quoted in The Guardian by saying this. And this is Mr. Kwamina saying, "I have to tell you that I'm not directly involved in the matter since I have recused myself. But yes, the Petrotrin board will have to look at it, look at senior legal's opinion and perhaps other legal opinions and then make a decision. I will not be a part of that decision, but I know things are in train to meet by end of next week and we will meet tight deadlines." Now I want to ask tonight, what is the conflict of interest? Because in order to recuse yourself, there must be some conflict of interest. What is the conflict of interest that the chairman of Petrotrin has with respect to this matter involving AV Drilling and Petrotrin? What is the nature of the conflict? Why did you recuse yourself? When did you take this decision to recuse yourself? Those are questions that the population ought to know. A man who is charged with the responsibility of leading Petrotrin to ensure that AV Drilling does not get hundreds of millions of dollars with respect to an award is now recusing himself from the decision, saying that he has no part to do with that. Now, any other government in any civilized democracy, if there was in fact a judgment of this magnitude against a state enterprise, man, there would have been emergency meetings. They would have met, they would have called emergency in-person meetings. They could have met via Zoom. But they are dragging their feet on this matter. They're dragging their feet. Senior counsel Deborah Peake is telling them by this week they should file an application to the court to in fact set aside that arbitral award. But to date, Mr. Kwamina is saying that they will meet sometime next week. Why are they dragging their feet on this matter? If it was any other company, I'm asking, if there was any other company that was awarded such a large sum against Petrotrin, you think they would have dragged their feet on it? I'm asking, why are you dragging your feet on this matter? You must act with alacrity. You must act with expediency. You must protect the taxpayers' interest in this matter. This is not a $5 or $10 judgment. This involves hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. This involves the assets of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, crown jewels, the refinery, the port, the lands. And yet you are dragging your feet along with this matter. I want to remind the board of Petrotrin that they have a fiduciary duty, that they have a duty to protect the interests of this company, and they have a duty to protect the interests of the taxpayers. And you must take this duty seriously and responsibly. And then there's a next narrative that the legal advisor for the cabinet, Mr. Faris al-Recusal, Faris al-Rawi, saying, ask Kamla, when there was the arbitral judgment, ask Kamla about the arbitral judgment. Well, firstly, let me correct Faris al-Rawi. Have some respect. It is not Kamla for you. It is the Honorable Kamla Persad Visesa of Senior Counsel, something you may not never be. The Member of Parliament for Siparia, Leader of the Opposition. So get that right, Faris. Then the second thing, Faris, is that you normally have selective memory, because you were the same one who was quoted when the allegations with respect to fake oil was revealed. You were the same one who was quoted in the Newsday by saying, and I quote your words directly, that this government is prepared to investigate itself. Al-Rawi said the decision to investigate the fake oil scandal was done by Petrotrin's board of directors, and opposition leader Kamla Persad Visesa could take no credit for this. Faris al-Rawi, you said this in 2017, and now when AV Drilling was awarded some monies through the arbitral proceedings, you know, saying to ask Kamla, no, we have to ask you, why are you not applying for an application? Why are you not making the application to set aside this award? You must answer that. You must answer why the board of Petrotrin is not acting with expediency. Why are you waiting till the end of this week? The end of this week in order to go and then meet before you file a judgment, before you file the application, sorry. Faris al-Rawi, you must answer these questions in the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The people need the answers, because this is a very, very important matter. Now let me ask one question. If this award is in fact not challenged or set aside, and AV Drilling is in fact awarded this $1 billion, can they in fact levy on the assets of the state enterprise? You have the Petrotrin refinery going up for sale. Now, have you considered the future of the assets? Have you considered the future of these companies if this judgment is awarded? You must protect the taxpayers. Do not protect your friends, your families, and your financiers. That is what you must do. Because if there's any ordinary citizen of this country where a mortgage is in fact awarded, if there's a foreclosure, they will come for the assets of that person. So these are some pertinent questions that I would like to be addressed and the government to take concern of and give us the answers, because this goes towards the heart and the grain of the future of our country. So we as the opposition will continue to bring the facts to the table. We as the opposition will continue to defend the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We as the official opposition of this country will continue, as I said, to expose this PNM government for all of the fraud, corruption that is taking place right now within all of the ministries and some of these state enterprises. So I'm urging everyone in Trinidad and Tobago, as I close, to keep safe, but also keep a vigilant eye on this wicked, uncaring, and corrupt PNM government. I thank you very much.
All right, I'll leave the stream running because the boss here, she might speak very soon. So I'll leave the stream open, right?
Probably about 18 minutes. Probably take the they tried to say this thing about how the arbitration has a non-challengeable thing. But the arbitration act clearly states that in the event of a suspected misconduct, and that is clearly misconduct. So no, this senior counsel fella trying to say how it cannot be charged. Well, I wouldn't know because I know. So the listener, I don't know if they will pick up. Yeah, that. Yeah. Yeah. No, but the senior counsel, Ramesh, is trying to say that it cannot be challenged. But he's saying that to the masses who don't know the Arbitration Act, that in the Act itself, it gives provision. Right? Yeah, so one of we have to eventually say that. So that people wouldn't, because Ramesh is fooling people. I didn't want to say somebody point out, they say, well, listen, in the case of fraud or misconduct. Yeah. You think it's gone long? Yeah. Well, much long enough. How much of a resource? How long you talk about 20 minutes?
I was watching him. I think it started at 20 past or 25.
Yeah. Probably saying the same thing. Something different.
So, ordinary citizen can like do some kind of judicial review or something.
Yeah.
Only Petrotrin because it's arbitration. What is our interest? Why we can have a say? Because what point out there you didn't go, well you can't go there, but they thief money. Now they might get me refinery via corruption. They could get all the money, they could get everything because you say, all right, if they levy on the company, they could take all that land and then. But let me tell you something. If somebody acquires something through this kind of fraudulent subsequent government, I would have to proceed off. What the proceed of corruption after all of that could be applied? There's no proceed of crime is they seize your assets.
Yeah, I don't think it, yeah.
Tell the boss anytime you're ready for us. Oh, that was speech okay one. Alright, I'm gonna let these fellas. Alright, can I go for long?
think so. No?
Yes, that's why you used to have a...
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's me too. You just feel like you're falling off. Why you didn't bring back your thing to put the mic?
When you're sitting here, you used to hear it.
Well, this is the problem with the mic. Ask Michael. I end up twisting. I had liked what you did last week.
Yeah. What was happening? Anytime you...
No, well, that's okay. What's wrong with that?
Okay.
It didn't distract. Yeah, not blocking me, that's the point. It was perfect last day. I think we have the mouse, it was a mouse pad that you put up here.
Yeah.
We have it there.
But we can put that back if you want.
Saddam, is a new point or?
Yeah, new point. You included it.
It was here.
All one
Here.
adjustment.
Here.
Yeah.
And a mouse pad. It's here. You left it. I think they're probably using it, you know. All right, take a light check by the time. I think they're using the mouse pad. You're getting a light check? Come and see. You gotta pause it. No, it is his light that made me too white. So he's adjusting like, go take a look. Too white.
Yeah, it was too white.
That's too white. See what it looks like. How is it now?
Darkness, and it was still coming out too white.
Yeah. All right, how is it today? Better? You doing a sound check?
Yeah. Sound check.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, sound check. 1, 2, 3. I think they're using the mouse pad. Have you all using the mouse pad in the back there? He puts this on, otherwise it will move. Sit. Yeah, come on. Thanks. You finished with me? Hello? Are you finished? Is somebody outside there? Huh? Who is it? Oh. Oh. Yeah. What happened? It doesn't work in the day.
Oh, okay.
Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Michael, you know how to fix this? Remember how you did it
Yeah.
last day? I think you used that those clips. Remember how here?
Keep on this.
Yeah, for it not to move. I think you had clipped it on or something, you know. You remember?
No, I don't think we had to put in a voice.
But this was here.
I'm trying to remember what we had.
This was doing something here.
No,
Actually,
I taped down.
no, we
I think
this.
I put this down so it wouldn't slide because this
Yeah.
don't slide.
Yeah, that's what. Well, but we have to bring it down. Mr. Archie, please.
All right, well, right. So
I
you
need
ain't
to-
good there now.
I need to know. Oh, okay, he's doing a sound
Okay,
check.
good, right. That was Jack.
Do you know what you were doing with this?
Why
It was
would you
just
do
for-
something you
it was-
tried?
Something you
Some
did
kind of
here.
Magic thing you do here last week, why?
I think you clipped it on.
You had a
Yep,
tack
these-
here, and
Yeah.
yes. You put
No,
a
but I
tack
didn't
here,
use
and
the
then you
tack
got
anymore.
twisty up, right back, twisty, and you tie this.
Well, let's hope it doesn't slide
It
up.
wouldn't slide because this
Good, good. Or let me go check that speech.
You run
not named Michael.
I heard of who I did not really. I just doing all kind of things just to pick up.
Mike's by the corner and put it inside.
Michael, just stand up there. And duck down so that you can see your color.
But I'm much darker, boss. I'm not looking white.
And it's not too red. And we will fix it in post.
I saw them take it down last week.
No.
I think so, but
I think so.
I think we are not going
And
to
they
fix.
bring the tape for you?
No, that's a tape, the other one. We are finished?
I get something.
5 minutes. That's what we want to put on one page. On that issue. Should we open it, Dave? Should we open this and do some more right?
No, we just got that downstairs. If you say that, it creates a bias already. You have to do it for or against, but there's some ways to phrase it there.
I think that's also something.
Without saying any sort of. You can suggest you basically say that half the cabinet supports this one color, Turkey seems to support this one color, but the other half supports somebody else, other than this, or something along those lines. It's just like, it's not to open the endorse, but the message is ready for him. You have to-
I just, for no total, just so you can.
Okay, then. Michael, you get innovative today with paper clip. This thing is not wet enough.
Okay.
Water, just in case. This is mine.
Oh.
Thank you.
Anytime you're ready. Anytime you're ready, just
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again. Before I speak with you on some other matters, I want to take a moment to really thank and commend our MPs and councillors for the great job they've been doing. I think we have one of the strongest oppositions now. MPs, senators, councillors, they've been working really hard. I know many of you out there are going through much hardship with the pandemic, but I commend our activists as well, all those who've been out in the field, and thank them. I ask you all to keep up the hard work and keep strength and never give up hope. Tonight I want to speak with you on several issues of very serious concern. Over the past 6 years, we have seen attempts by the government, PNM government, to erode our democracy and infringe on the rights of citizens. AG Faris has said that the government wants to introduce a new process to select a commissioner of police, and that as far as he's concerned, it is a simplification of the process. Nothing is further from the truth. Faris said the new process seeks to remove the need for international advertisements for the post. Do you know this has been the case since 2015? When this said government with the said AG brought the 2015 order, the removal of international ads was already put into place since 2015 by this said PNM government. As I said to someone yesterday, I don't believe a word that Faris says or his government says. So he says, all we are doing is removing international advertisements. We are simplifying the process. Faris, that is already the case. And if you really didn't know that, that is sheer incompetence on your part. If he's aware of that, then he's intentionally trying to mislead the population. Again, is this another attempt to distract the population from some other sinister motive? We ask that question. This government is moving to change the law to really, I think, to put in place their hand-picked commissioner of police. It is a move not to simplify the process, but to make it simpler for the government to handpick a commissioner of police. That is my interpretation now, having seen the legal notice of 2021 with respect to the order for selecting commissioner of police and deputy commissioner of police. We have heard that half of the cabinet doesn't want the existing commissioner, the one who I think the country wants, and the other half of the cabinet wants him. So you have half the cabinet going one way, half going the other way. Is this an attempt to remove the sitting commissioner of police? You know, in 2015, from the time this government came into office, the PNM immediately set about trying to interfere in the process of selecting commissioner of police and deputies because they wanted to put their choice of commissioner of police. In 2015, I had to take the matter to court together with a team of lawyers because what they attempted to do was unconstitutional. At that time, they inserted the Minister of National Security to trigger the process for selection of a commissioner of police. The case that we did was Haridat Maraj versus the Attorney General. 6 years later, what they're attempting to do is worse than what they tried to do in 2015. We stopped them in their tracks in 2015 by going to court. But I think this latest order is a blatant attempt at political interference in the selection of a commissioner of police and deputy commissioners of police. You know, by the way, we have sitting on our order paper notifications for 2 persons to be commissioners of police. From the 2015 order, 6 years later, you have not brought a motion to approve those notifications, so they're sitting on the wayside and they'll be dropped and dumped with your 2021 order. What have they changed with the new legal notice, with the new order? First of all, they're removing the use of an independent selection firm. The new process removes the firm which provides independent HR expertise to evaluate the officers best qualified for the position. The last time they used was, the firm they used was KPMG. The firm would provide a ranked list of candidates to the Police Service Commission. The PSC, the Police Service Commission, will then generate an order of merit list with the highest ranked candidate on top of the list, and then other candidates based on their ranks. Now, the question is, does the PSC, having removed the independent selection firm, does the PSC have the HR expertise to properly evaluate candidates for the post of commissioner or deputy commissioner? And a further question arises, would there be a natural bias for any particular candidate, a bias for or against, as the PSC has a constitutional duty to evaluate the sitting COP annually and interact with that person on an ongoing basis? Would there be a built-in bias for or against any particular candidate? The second change that they're attempting to make is with respect to the order of merit list. After the firm selects, conducts, and evaluates, they generate an order of merit list. One name from that list, the top ranked, will be then sent to the president. Then the president will send the name to the House of Representatives for approval. A debate will commence, and then if that house does not agree with the other candidate, agree with the name sent, then we get a second notification in order of merit will be brought to the House for debate. So this is how the process works. An order of merit list is set up. The first ranked name is sent to the president. The president will send a notification to the House of Representatives for approval. If the House approves, that person goes forward as the Commissioner of Police. If the House does not approve, as happened on the last occasion, then go down the list one by one until the House approves a name. That's what happened last time. What the 2021 order, the present order, does is that instead of sending one name to the president, the PSC will now send the entire list to the president. Now, this is a very serious matter because Her Excellency the President, the office, does not have the constitutional remit to have a discretion to choose which name from that list should be sent to the Parliament. There is no discretion. The President acts because of Section 80 of the Constitution on the advice of the Cabinet. So if several names are sent to the President, then who will be making who will be advising the President as to which name should be sent to the House. Pursuant to Section 80 of the Constitution, the President will act on the advice of the Cabinet. So what will be happening here is that discretion, that choosing of a candidate will fall squarely in the hands of the government and of the Cabinet. So what government is trying to do, therefore, is to force the Commission to nominate all persons on the merit list and prevent the Commission from nominating the person the Commission would think is best suited, that is the number one person in the order of merit list. That job is now going to be falling in the hands of the Cabinet. And let us understand it. We have in the Cabinet members of government. The same Cabinet, we have members of government where their friends or relatives are under criminal investigation. Are we going to remove the independence of the office and the selection of office of commissioner, remove that independence and place it in the hands of cabinet ministers who have children under investigation for toting guns? Or we have a minister whose child is on charges for, matters relating to drugs, dangerous drugs. Are these the ministers who are now going to be advising through the Cabinet Her Excellency as to which names should be selected or which name should be selected to be sent for approval by the House of Representatives? So, on drafting the 2021 order, the government removed the requirement for the highest ranked candidate for that name to be brought first for debate. They have removed that requirement. So you send all the names to Her Excellency, and then what happens? Who will choose which name must come to the House? Again, I say it is the Cabinet advising the President. Who selects the candidate to be nominated for Commissioner of Police? The 2021 order does not give the President the discretion to determine which candidate's name is brought first to the House. Is it the President now acting in accordance with the advice of the Cabinet to submit names to Parliament pursuant to Section 80? In the Constitution, where the President is not given a specific direction to act, the President will act on the advice of the Cabinet. Again, as I say, this is the same Cabinet where members, friends, and families are under criminal investigation. Are we then going to be using the Parliament and the President to rubber stamp a decision of the Cabinet? And I want to remind you here of the importance of the role of a Commissioner of Police, the importance of the independence in the selection of a Commissioner of Police. And we go back to the case that is the locus classicus with regard to the suite of cases dealing with the independence of the Police Service Commission and the selection of a commissioner. I just want to quote for you words of Lord Diplock in that case of Endell Thomas and the Attorney General, where he said, "Under a party system of government, such as exists in Trinidad and Tobago, and was expected to exist after independence in other Commonwealth countries whose constitutions follow the Westminster model, dismissal at pleasure would make it possible to operate what in the United States at one time became known as the spoils system upon a change of government, and would even enable a government composed of the leaders of the political party that happened to be in power to dismiss all members of the public service who were not members of the ruling party, and prepared to treat the proper performance of their public duties as subordinate to the furtherance of that party's political aims. In the case of an armed police force, with the potential for harassment that such a force possesses, the power of summary dismissal opens up the prospect of converting it into what might, in effect, function as a private army of the political party that had obtained a majority of the seats in Parliament at the last election. These words were upheld in the case that we had taken, the case of Haridat Maraj, and followed by Justice Rajkumar in ruling that parts of the 2015 order were unconstitutional. So what we are pointing out, the mischief being created, and I use the word mischief as used in law, the mischief that will be created here is the potential for a ruling party, a sitting government, to select a commissioner of police and then use that commissioner of police and the police force as an army, as their private army, to harass and deal with persons they just don't like, or their opponents, as the case may be. So what does the government have to hide? What is it that they may be seeking to hide by removing these matters that I just spoke to you about? Is it that they want to hide the list of rejected candidates? Why do you want to hide the list you use to choose from? Is it that you want to choose someone who is not the most qualified, which can happen in the manner in which you've now worded your order? So these are serious matters for concern. A commissioner of police has command and is in charge of the entire police force, and therefore the independence of the selection panel, which is a public service, police service commission, must be guaranteed, must be constitutionally protected as it is, and must remain constitutionally protected. The 2021 order that you're seeking to now have enforced, and you say it's enforced, yes, it's enforced until it's negatived. Today it was laid in the Senate, and the senators have already filed a motion in the Parliament to negative the 2021 order, and therefore that will come up for debate. When it is laid in our House, the MPs in our House will also seek to file a motion to negative it. And why? We are of the respectful view that the 2021 order, far from being to simplify the process, as Faris has said, is an attempt to give power to the ruling party to be able to handpick a commissioner and deputy commissioners. So we raise that, and we ask all these independent commentators and so on, let them come out. Where's the Law Association on this matter? Where are all these persons who are so-called independents writing in newspaper columns and commenting on everything? We ask them to come forward. We ask civil society to put their fingers into this, because this is a very dangerous move, very sinister move on the part of government. I move on to another matter, and this has to do with something called Project Calypso. I don't know if anybody knows about Project Calypso, but after I'm finished speaking, you will know. And really, this has to do with the Petrotrin, what used to be the Petrotrin refinery. This has to do with the bids made by Patriotic, and now has to do with a bid being made by another grouping. A friend said to me, talking about Calypso, what's happening here with this Petrotrin refinery is pure old mass. That's all that's happening, old mass. But whilst old mass is fun and entertaining, this is a dangerous piece of action that this government is taking, and we seriously have to question. And maybe at this point I can say, by the way, people say, Kamala, why you come and you're negative? Well, I'm negative. That's my job. If you think I'm negative, my job as opposition, and all of us in the opposition, is to hold the government to account. Please understand that is our job. We will be failing in our jobs if we do not come to call the government to account for transparency and accountability. We would be failing. So where we see that the government is taking directions and making movements that will be to the detriment of citizens, to the detriment of taxpayers, it is my job and those of us in the opposition to raise these and call the government to provide us with answers. So speaking about what the government has to hide, well, listen to this. The government continues to trifle with our country's billion-dollar assets. We learned on Labor Day that Patriotic submitted a new proposal for the refinery since March 2021, and they are yet to get a response from government. This is after the PNM turned down Ansel Roger 3 times in his bids for the refinery. Let me remind the public, 1 month before the 2020 elections, you remember the Prime Minister what he said? And this man will tell you something today and tomorrow is something else. Just like he said he was not closing down Petrotrin, the government is not closing down. And what happened? Closed down, and thousands of jobs lost. Thousands of jobs lost. And up to now, they have put nothing in place for the fence-line communities surrounding Petrotrin. And by the way, today I found out that over 400, I believe it is, 400 workers have been sent home from Caribbean Airlines. Question is, has the minister's son also been sent home in that 400 people? So this government is about job losses, sending people home with no plans to open back the economy. So here we are. I remind you, they said just before the election, government is ready to sign refinery deal with Patriotic. government is ready to sign refinery deal with Patriotic. Elections came and went. Where's the deal? What has been signed? Nothing has been signed up to today. After elections, Patriotic was turned down 3 times. November 2020, January 2021, February 2021. And in November, Patriotic offered to purchase the refinery for US $700 million. That was rejected by government. They then offered to purchase for US $500 million with large tax concessions. That offer was swiftly rejected. Patriotic has offered everything possible to the government, and the government, the PNM, continues to reject them. Now, for a 4th time, Mr. Roger has confirmed that he sent a 4th proposal to government in March 2021. You know what is very surprising about this? The new minister, the young minister of energy, when asked about Patriotic's last bid, he said he had not seen it. He had not seen it. The Minister of Energy says, I don't know anything about that. I have not seen it. I find that very surprising, Minister. If you were doing your job, you would be aware of that March 2021 proposal from Patriotic. I have a copy of that proposal from Patriotic to the Minister of Finance. It is dated 23rd March 2021. Now, if it is that you are not speaking to your Minister of Finance, that's a different issue. But I'm sure you're all on good speaking terms. The Minister of Finance is a jolly person. You know, he's always smiling and so on. So ask him to see the letter from Patriotic to him, Minister of Finance, dated 23rd March 2021. I tell you, I have a copy. That letter was written like a love letter to the Minister of Finance. I think you would want to see it. And after you have been rejected 3 times, Roger writes this really loving letter to Minister of Finance. And you, Minister of Energy, say, you don't know anything about it. Well, go ask Minister Imbert for a copy. So after many rejections, Roger finally comes to the realization that the government was disingenuous from the start. Well, disingenuous is a nice word, you know, but they have been mamagaing from day one. They have been just brushing him off. He only now realizes that. I don't know what more it will take. In your latest proposal from Patriotic, this is what is indicated. That Patriotic will purchase the refinery for US $500 million. That Patriotic will not pay the money right away. That Patriotic will take them 2 years. It will take 2 years to restart the refinery. That Patriotic, 1 year after the restart of the refinery, then they'll be able to pay the US $500 million. That Patriotic, what it means is after 3 years of taking possession of the refinery, then they will pay and require a moratorium for all payments for that period. And they also ask for full fiscal concessions on taxes and duties. You know, I don't think we have ever seen in this country, we've had disposal of state assets before, but I've never seen the old master I mentioned being done in this manner by this government. And that is why we have been hammering for the original procurement legislation, which is most certainly required and long overdue. 6 years this government has been in place, and they have failed and or neglected, maybe willfully, deliberately. It is not by chance that they have not proclaimed it, because it then allows them to do all kinds of deals under the table, above the table, and around the table. And this is one, I think, that is being done under the table, over the table, around the table, but it is indeed a deal that has to be questioned. You know, last year, in November, I advised the population that the government was mamagaing the country and deceiving the workers of Petrotrin. I asked the government whether there was already a buyer lined up for the refinery within 3 months. Mr. Roger, while you are still waiting on an answer from the government, we have a few questions to the Minister of Finance. Minister, 1. Is there a draft letter dated 10th March 2021 somewhere in your ministry to Patriotic stating that when Cabinet rejected Patriotic's proposal on 18 February 2021, that Cabinet also made a decision that the government will terminate Patriotic's being the exclusive bidder regarding the sale of Petrotrin's asset? Second, when you first sent out the RFP for the sale of the refinery assets, was Scotia Capital your financial advisors? This is a very important question. Was Scotia Capital your financial advisors when the first RFP for the sale of the refinery was sent out? 3. Did other interested parties, including Scotia Capital, indicate to you that there is an accelerated path towards selecting a credible buyer within 3 months? 4. Were you informed that these credible buyers have the finances to purchase and restart the refinery? 5. Was this told to you since last year, October? 6. Minister of Finance, why do you still continue to mamagai the union and make them submit 2 other proposals if it is that you knew since last year, November, that you had credible buyers who would become available? Minister, do you now have a draft letter from Scotia Capital dated 13th April 2021, which was received by your ministry on the 20th April 2021? And in that letter, Scotia Capital is calling on the sale of the refinery deal, Project Calypso. So this is the Project Calypso, where it is that Scotia Capital sends a letter to the Ministry of Finance, and I'm asking you, dated 13th April, received by your ministry 20th April, with respect to the sale of the refinery deal. Now, this Scotia Capital, is that the same company or the same entity, the same institution? Is that the same one that was used as your financial advisors in sending out the RFP, the first time you sent out the RFP for the sale of the refinery? If that is the case, then I ask again, would this not be a serious conflict of interest? That you use the financial advisors to send the RFP, and now you have the same Scotia Capital sending you this letter with respect to leasing or buying or whatever else with the refinery. Will that not be, Minister, a serious conflict of interest? You're going out to the open market using Scotia Capital, the same financial advisor for the RFP, that first RFP. In that draft letter, I ask you further, from Scotia Capital, is there a timeline or is there no timeline? Have you removed the timeline? Is there a timeline? Minister, did the government already go out to the open market for sale of the port and the refinery? Have you gone out for the sale of the port and the refinery? We don't know. We've been hearing all the talk, and we are now in the month of June, so many months later, post-election, and the country still doesn't know what is happening. In relation to Scotia Capital, I now have a question for the present Minister of Energy, the young minister. I want to ask whether he is in any way conflicted with Scotia's involvement in the sale of the refinery and port assets. Now remember, we have Scotia Capital with their letter, I mentioned, dated in April, sending this to the Minister of Finance. And I'm asking Minister Young, are you in any way conflicted with Scotia's involvement in the sale of refinery and the port assets? And you know why I ask you that, Minister? For the period 2019 to 2020, Minister, you recused yourself from the Cabinet 3 times when matters relating to loans granted to the government came up, loans granted by Scotia Bank to the government. When those matters came up on 3 occasions, Minister, you recused yourself. Why? Obviously because you felt you had a conflict of interest when matters relating to Scotia came up. You didn't walk out the Cabinet once. You didn't walk out twice. On 3 occasions, you had to leave the Cabinet when Scotia Bank matters came up. So is it now, as Minister of Energy, when it is a Scotia Capital is sending in a letter, a draft letter, bidding for this refinery, are you conflicted? This is a serious matter. So there are 2 sets of possible conflict of interest. 1, conflict of interest relating to the use of Scotia Capital as a financial advisors for the sale of the refinery when the RFP was sent. And that conflict bounces up with the fact that it is the same Scotia Capital that you have this draft letter from making a bid for the refinery. Second conflict, so that's the Minister of Finance. with respect to conflict of interest. And then we come to the present Minister of Energy. Is it that you will be conflicted when matters dealing with the refinery in your capacity as minister, would you in any way conflicted with Scotia's involvement in the sale of the refinery and port assets? I ask you that based on your past history of moving yourself outside of the cabinet anytime Scotia Bank matters came forward. I repeat, we cannot trust anything the PNM says or does. While they have people fighting for survival, fighting to get food, fighting for proper health care, they are frittering away, really doing away billion-dollar assets of the state. And that's not theirs. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the taxpayers of this country. I move to a third matter before I close, and this has to do with my call and the opposition's call for a commission of inquiry into the handling of the COVID pandemic by the present government. I want to thank Tim Gopi Singh for standing with the UNC when others who benefited from the party chose now to parrot PNM propaganda. Thank you, Dr. Tim. The Ministry of Health team appears to be continuously justifying themselves, praising their own efforts, forgetting that self-praise is no praise, whilst at the same time ignoring that we now have the highest COVID death rates in the world. Little Trinidad and Tobago, highest death rate. The same team which has been in charge for 16 months, over 700 deaths. 100 plus more people have died since I last called for changes to be made. It was in the last 7 days. 100 people, I made a point. If there were so many murders in 1 week, Commissioner Gary Griffith, they would want his head. They'll put his neck in a rope. They'll be calling all kinds of things against him. And here we have, within 7 days, 100 people dying from COVID. And where's the outrage? Where are the questions about the same team for 16 months managing the COVID? It's the same team. No changes have been made. Look, you all have to stop doing the same thing over and over again. We cannot keep doing the same things, repeating the same things, and failing and failing and failing repeatedly. How many more must die before you make changes in the management of this pandemic? Fact 1. Between May 16 and June 19th, 14,614 cases and 456 COVID-related deaths. May 16 to June 19. Between April 15 to May 15, 7,303 cases and 128 deaths. During this lockdown of 7 weeks, more people have died or been infected than before the lockdown started. Dr. Gopi Singh said, and I quote, "After experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic for the last 16 months, this nation has no information, nor answers, nor data, and no analysis of the situation surrounding these deaths." Dr. Gopi Singh said, and I totally agree with him, as follows: the Commission of Inquiry will ensure that the population gets the answers to these critical questions with a view to determining the deaths of now 737 persons, whether they may be in fact due to criminal negligence. The time has come for government to account to the people through a commission of inquiry. And by the way, I wrote to the Honorable Prime Minister some time ago, and up to now, in his usual manner, I guess, there has been no response to our request through that letter for a commission of inquiry. I repeat our call for a commission of inquiry into the handling of the COVID pandemic. I just want to spend a few minutes, because there is so much suffering, and so there is a Facebook post from someone who just lost their father. He says, "My dad passed away." I talked to him for his birthday on Thursday, June 17, 2021, and he indicated to me he was having fever but was feeling okay. Otherwise, the post continues, Friday, June 18, 2021, he suddenly developed difficulties breathing, and the ambulance came and took him to Chaguanas Health Center. They tested him for COVID, and the test came back positive. The Facebook post continues. They also discovered a blood clot in his lungs, which was causing his difficulty in breathing. He needed emergency treatment, but Couva had no empty beds, so they sent him to A&E at Mount Hope. Saturday, June 19, 2021. He remained all day in accident and emergency A&E at Mount Hope. No treatment. on a bed to empty, a bed becoming empty at Couva to be transferred. Sunday, June 20th, 2021. He remained all day again in accident. Listen, what's happening? He's waiting for a bed at Couva. And they're keeping him at Mount Hope. He's there all day, no treatment. No treatment. We have reached up to the 20th of June 2021 and still no treatment, still waiting for a bed to become empty at Couva. The post continues. I spoke to him on Sunday. And Sunday was what? Father's Day, remember? I spoke to him, and his last words to me were, quote, I will talk to you later. I am stifling. This morning I got the news. He passed away. I would not have another chance to talk to him again. And here we are. Then you have these persons coming out incompetent every day. I'm making this comment after reading this. Very tragic, and our condolences go out to him, his family, and to all those families who have lost loved ones. In the meantime, this incompetent government, with their incompetent persons, every day they are lying about how good they are and how good they're handling things, and meanwhile our families are being killed off. The writer tells me further, my dad may have had COVID, but COVID did not kill him. Negligence and lack of proper treatment killed him. Negligence and lack of proper treatment killed him. This is what the Facebook writer is saying. People need answers. The country demands accountability. 18 billion spent. We are overwhelmed with infections and deaths. And yet this government continues with their incompetence and continues to fail the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So what do I say is the reality today? Our future is uncertain. That is the reality today under Keith Rowley and his government. I want to remind you how nothing they say can be trusted. 2 weeks ago, the Prime Minister and his Minister of Health boasted close to 1 million doses of vaccines were on their way. Another lie added to all the other lies. They invited everyone to come and get vaccinated, leading to absolute chaos at the health facilities. When they realized they did foolish things, they apologized. They pretended it wasn't a big deal. It was just not a bad day, or one bad day, mind you. This week we will see if the chaos of those few days were super spreader events. This week now the Prime Minister is saying, well, and I quote, we were expecting donations from the United States, but we don't know if that is still happening. This is the same man. 1 week we're getting vaccines, we're getting millions of doses. Next week he comes, he says, we don't know if that is still happening. And then there is the order of 800 doses from the Africa Medical Supplies Platform. We're not sure to get those either. We're not sure to get, this is what the Prime Minister is telling the country, when 1 week before he boasted he was getting from the US, he was getting from the AMS platform, and now we're not sure to get those either. And I heard the government speaking about getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. You know, the US has now ruled that those vaccines have to be thrown away. 60 million vaccines. So anything that was coming from Johnson & Johnson is now under suspicion. And also, we're not sure to get those either. So, citizens, what are we to do? Accept every week he comes and continues to tell us things that turn out to be not true. What do we do? This is what passes for governance in Trinidad and Tobago. Last week, the Prime Minister said he decided to go down into the gutter, as he likes to do. And what did he do? He was accusing our neighbor Guyana of being reckless with their vaccination program. All because Guyana is doing so much better than Trinidad and Tobago, he found it fit to say, don't worry, their vaccine program, you know, something not right with it. Something is not right with that. He was too lazy to spend time negotiation for, trying to get vaccines for us, remember? And attacking Guyana, but they were very proactive. They went everywhere. They said that. They did everything they could to get vaccines to save lives. When officials in Guyana rebuked him for his dangerous and reckless statements, what did he do? He doubled down on his attack on Guyana. Imagine when his pal Maduro was threatening Guyana, our CARICOM partner. And Prime Minister Rowley was then chairman, and remains chairman up to now. I think at the end of this month he will no longer be chair of CARICOM. He was very quiet. When Venezuela was threatening war on Guyana, not a word from the CARICOM chairman. He was too afraid of Maduro to open his mouth and say something. Remember, Rowley blamed Guyana for the spread of the P1 variant and not Venezuela. Can you imagine that? Why does he hate Guyana so much? And just now he might go after our sister Mia in Barbados for leaving Trinidad and Tobago out of the bubble that they are creating for several CARICOM nations. So look out for that. He may attack Barbados. And I want to tell you, Mr. Rowley, be sure it's not a literal bubble that Prime Minister Motley is speaking about. You ridicule the UNC's proposal for a security dome, so don't go making a fool of yourself by criticizing the people of Barbados and the Prime Minister of Barbados when they speak of creating this bubble to allow visitors from other CARICOM islands, but not from Trinidad and Tobago. Whilst the world opens up, we remain under lockdown. Thousands remain unemployed. Thousands more are on the breadline. Tens of thousands have lost their jobs. Our last estimate was over 100,000. It's far more than that now today. And as I said, we learned about the 400 or 450 sent home from Caribbean Airlines. So, thousands of businesses have had to close down. Whilst people face in this country the hardship, there's another reality for the PNM crew. Their rent is paid. Their meals are prepared. And when I say the PNM, the members of the government, their meals are prepared. They even get exemptions to fly in and out as they please. Their children can come and go as they please. One law for them, another law for everyone else. Whilst your family remains locked out and begging to return, Faris secured exemptions for his children to fly in and out. What exists for us under Rowley is totally different to what he and his circle are experiencing. They live lavishly, whilst the rest of the country pays for their lifestyle. My friends, I know these are extremely difficult circumstances, challenging times. We have a government hell-bent on destroying the economy and turning our democracy into a dictatorship. But I want to tell you tonight, and I give you that assurance, that this government is on the verge of collapse. We can all see it. Even within the PNM, they know Rowley has no plan and is destroying their party. They know our country is doomed as long as the Rowley remains in power. And so I ask you to join with us. We must continue to fight for our democracy. We must continue to fight for a society where every creed and race finds an equal place. Billions of dollars continue to be spent without citizens benefiting. I promise you, those of us in the UNC will never allow our country to become Rowley's Animal Farm, where all people are equal, but PNM friends and financiers are more equal than others. Let us help each other during this difficult time. The night is dark, but the dawn of a new day for our nation will surely come. I ask you to stay safe, follow all the health protocols, sanitize, wash, wear your masks, get tested, get vaccinated as soon as the vaccine becomes available. Keep safe, stay healthy. God bless you, and God bless Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you very much. Mic is off? Thank you.